President John Dramani Mahama has announced a reshuffle in his government. A statement from the Flagstaff House and signed by the Chief of Staff, Julius Deborah, said a number of ministers, including Health Minister Dr. Kweku Agyeman-Mensah, as well as Sports Minister Mahama Yariga, have been reassigned to the Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing and the Ministry of Environment, Science and Innovation, respectively. Here is a news desk report.
President John Dramani Mahama has reassigned the Minister for Water Resources, Works and Housing, Alhaji Collins Dauda, to the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. A statement signed by Chief of Staff Julius Deborah also announced Health Minister Dr. Kweku Agyeman-Mensah as the new Minister for Water Resources, Works and Housing, with Mahama Yariga moving to the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation. Minister of State at the Presidency, Alhaji Dr. Mustafa Ahmed, takes over as Minister for Youth and Sports, with Akwesi Oponfosu moving to the Presidency as a Minister of State. The statement also announced the President's nomination of Deputy Minister for Defense, Alex Tegbefia, as Minister for Health, and the Headmaster of Tepa Senior High School, Peter Anefi-Mensah, as Ashanti Regional Minister. President Mahama has also nominated the MP for Drabeso, Kwabena Minta Akando, as Deputy Minister for Land and Natural Resources to replace Ebenezer Okrete-Teilabi. The following have also been nominated as Deputy Minister for States: Samuel Yao Edusei, Water Resources, Works and Housing; Kenneth Gilbert Ajay, Defense.
Meanwhile, Deputy Communications Director of the opposition New Patriotic Party, Anthony Abaifa Kabo, has waded into the debate on President John Dramani Mahama's latest ministerial reshuffle, describing it as an act that does not afford ministers the chance to fully settle into their roles. Speaking on an Accra radio-based station, Anthony Kabo said the move, though expected, seemed a bit premature. He said the frequency with which the president moves his ministers, particularly when they are just about settling in, leaves much to be desired. In a similar development, a political science lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Alhaji Dramani, has also called on President Mahama to be more decisive in his ministerial appointments, while accepting that the president has a prerogative to reshuffle his ministers whenever he considered it necessary. Mr. Dramani also stated that the nation's problems would not be solved by just shuffling ministers around. Private legal practitioner Ace Anan Ankoma has accused the Attorney General's Department of leaking vital information to help the cause of businessman Alfred Agbesi-Woyome in his defense against the state's 2 counts of causing financial loss and defending or defrauding under false pretense. Alfred Agbesi-Woyome was on Thursday declared or acquitted of the charges brought against him by an Accra High Court after the state failed to pin down the businessman for the alleged offences. Speaking on Multimedia Group's award-winning program Newsfile on Joy News on TV and radio, Ace Ankoma said Alfred Woyome managed to walk free because certain people in the Attorney General's office leaked a key document that formed part of the basis for his acquittal and discharge.
But you know what is curious? We have a called the House of Mafu and Kweku Agyeman-Mensah. They were not covered by this new principle of embarrassment.
Oh, please.
But others were covered by it. But this is the worst part of it. This document is tendered in evidence by the accused person. The Honorable Deputy Attorney General, can you explain to the people of Ghana how a confidential memo to the highest officers of the Attorney General's Department ended up in the hands of an accused person who we are not told got it through any discovery process or forced production process? Now, if we intercepted by Kokubako,
yeah, I think you should ask how Kokubako intercepts this document.
Now,
then
if this document gets
know,
evidence,
you know,
no, the seriousness is something we can't downplay. I don't think the Honorable Deputy General can downplay. Now, if you give this document to a judge who says that you effectively were stacking cards, you won't call certain people because you are afraid they'll be embarrassed, what judgment do you expect to receive? I'm done.
We'll turn attention to the economy, and businesses are said to be collapsing. People are said also to be losing their jobs, and students cannot study at night because of the ongoing power crisis. These are the many realities outside Ghana's prisons. But in the Insawam medium security prison, the energy crisis has rather left a number of inmates seriously wounded through violent attacks on each other and their officers.
The commander in charge of the Nsawam prison, Deputy Director of Prisons Sylvester Rabo, says the facility depends on electricity for a number of essential needs. Anytime the inmates are denied access to these essentials, violence breaks out. Mr. Rabos was addressing a team of judges dispatched to the facility by the Chief Justice to experience the remand crisis there.
Violence is something that we face here almost every day. And where is the violence coming? It's not violence of the officer on the inmate, but it's violence of the inmate on the inmate when they fight over the little utilities that's available. For instance, whenever we have power cuts, as we have today, and we are not able to pump enough water, they have to struggle over the little water that we have. And that constantly, on daily basis, leads to fighting. And some of the time, some of them get hurt in the process. Some of the time, prison officers get hurt in the process of trying to separate, because we have a mandate to ensure their safe custody. So we cannot sit down whilst they cause harm to themselves.
The Nsawam medium security prisons was originally built to hold 851 prisoners, but it currently accommodates 3,576 inmates. The over 420% overcrowding rate has led to many diseases in the prison. Deputy Director of Prisons, Sylvester Rabo, says you and I are at risk of contracting them, though we are outside the facility.
Crowding conditions too is a festering ground for communicable diseases of hepatitis, of tuberculosis, and the like, skin rashes, and the like. We are here, we work with them 24 hours a day. We will close, we will go to our families. If, for instance, I pick tuberculosis in the course of my job, I'll go home. I may transmit the tuberculosis to some members of my family. They go to their workplaces, they go to the schools, they will go and spread. So lack of attention for prison health delivery, for instance, can become a public health issue. Some of the time, these are the things that we disregard. But then, over 80% of the prisoners will always come out. And when they come, the ailments that we fail to deal with in prison, we have to deal with in society.
The judges tell Joy News the visit was a good learning opportunity, said Kwame Boateng's report for Joy News.
Meanwhile, members of another set of judges also tasked by the Chief Justice say they are surprised at some of the reasons for which some inmates at the Akuse prison were remanded. They promised the inmates, most of whom said they were accused unfairly, not to lose hope, but also be patient as they embark on the Justice for All program beginning 17th of April 2015. Here's a report by Joy News reporter Wilhelmina Ekufu.
The leader of the 20-man delegation of judges, His Lordship Justice Constant Hometo, said the Akuse prison stood out as the best in living conditions, sanitation and overall outlook from all the facilities he had visited.
I have visited about 6 or over 6 prisons in Ghana. I have also visited prisons outside Ghana. The standards are higher than what we have here in Ghana. But I must say for sure and with certitude that the Akuse prison is the best that I have seen so far. When you enter the cells, there is no smell, there is no pungent smell in the cells as obtains in other prisons in Ghana. There is also no overcrowding in some of the cells here. So I believe the cells are very neat. I've seen them. I visited their bathrooms, their toilets. They're all very neat. So to me, this is a plus for the Akuse prison.
Other judges, including the first Deputy Judicial Secretary, shared in the sentiments of His Lordship, even though he has not had the privilege to visit other prisons within the country.
We have been quite impressed when we came here, and even having not gone to the other prisons, I could tell that this is a very well-kept prison. There is no stench as is complained of in other prisons. Convicts and remand persons all have beds, and they are clean, tiled bathrooms. They are allowed to bath the number of times they want to and the general atmosphere here is quite calm. So we believe that given the present circumstances of the country and most of the other prisons, that Akuse is a very well-kept prison.
The Assistant Director of Prisons, Edward Fifi Akwa, told members of the delegation that the current power crisis is a major problem because darkness is a security threat.
Power cuts, properly called doomsday, is affecting us. Each time ECG takes their power, we are handicapped. And you know, darkness is a security threat. It's a security threat. When the inmates are in darkness, they can do anything at all. So that is not helping the system. So ideally, we should have a powerful generator to power the whole prison. So we are looking forward to having assistance from the district assemblies. I have already communicated that to them, and they've promised coming to our aid. So they are yet to bring the generator.
The Ghana Revenue Authority has set a 23 billion Ghana cedi target in revenue collection for 2015. Officials have already indicated they will not hesitate to name and shame individuals and organizations who fail to honor their tax obligations during the year as one measure in achieving the set target. In 2014, the GRA's target fell short by some 2%. 2.7% in raising some 17.6 billion Ghana cedis in tax revenue. Deputy Commissioner in charge of Communications and Public Affairs at the authority, Kwesi Opong Damwa, spoke to Joy News Justice Forson on other measures being implemented to achieve the 2015 target.
This year the target is close to 22 billion Ghana cedis. We've rolled some measures up like the TRIPS, what we call the Total Revenue Integration Processing System. It's an automated system that will help taxpayers, even sitting in the comfort of their homes and offices or wherever, can pay taxes without even coming to our offices. I think that will make payments very simple for taxpayers. They can check how much they owe and then can make payments and all that, and then talk to us, book appointments and everything without necessarily coming to our offices. Again, within the past 2 years or so, we've introduced what we call the self-assessment system. Prior to that, we were raising assessment on taxpayers. This time we say the taxpayers, they are doing their businesses, they know what goes into the businesses, and also they also know the profits that they get. So we tell them, based on your business and your profit that you get, tell us how much your business is supposed to pay. And of course, the advantage is that when the taxpayer himself has assessed himself, telling us that this is how much my business has to pay based on my transactions, we don't see any reason why the taxpayer should refuse to pay. And we believe that will enhance voluntary compliance.
And that's it for the news we have. And please always make sure you get interactive with us on our Facebook page, Joy News on TV, and also our handle on Twitter, Joy News on TV.